the Southern Children's Church.
Yes,
And
Children's
please
Church.
stand. Let's we've lost the piano players. Oh, it's coming. All right, here we go. Sing the wondrous love.
going to ask you all to participate in this morning. It's community meditation. I'm going to model for you something that we actually do at Impact Campus Ministries whenever we have a staff meeting. Something really cool. So, you all are sitting, back straight. Participate. Feet firmly planted on the floor. Hand on your thighs like this. I want everybody to take a nice deep breath and out. Again. You're ready. I want you all to close your eyes, and I want you to picture at the forefront of your mind a time that you were spiritually or emotionally broken. And when that's there, I want you to imagine a time where you were involved in breaking something else, or maybe someone else. A relationship, trust, harsh words. Keep your eyes closed as I speak the rest of the meditation. Chuck Colson said something very important. He said that Christianity is often reduced to a relationship. We put it between us and Jesus, but when Jesus came, it was so much more than that. The world was broken. In the beginning of time, we shattered it. Adam and Eve, when they first ate the apple, when they disobeyed, we broke the world. And God Almighty, who existed before creation and will exist after it, came down in human flesh to be broken. Not just to be one with us, but to repair the entire world as it was. To take the things that were broken, that we break every day as shatterers, and put it back together. I want you to picture in your mind now the moment when you found Jesus, when God spoke to you in some way and put you back together. Because it is so much more than a relationship. God has invited us to become one with Him, to be restored, to be ambassadors of reconciliation to a world that is still broken, to people that are still lost, to bring them back, to put things back together. And it is so important that we recognize, especially when we take the bread, that Jesus submitted Himself to be broken for this very purpose. That we put Him there, and that in His grace and mercy, He found it right to come back and to put things back the way they should be. Bow your heads in prayer. Father, we come before your throne recognizing that we are imperfect. That no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, we will never be good enough because human standards cannot meet divine perfection. But we thank you for the sacrifice of your Son Jesus, which covers us in His blood and makes us right before you, justifies us and sanctifies us, and brings us closer to you than we've ever been each day. And that we thank you for the opportunity to put the world back to rights with you, to work with you in that. Thank you so much. And it's in Jesus' name we pray.
much that we're able to gather here and worship and sing praises to you. This week we labored, toiled and labored. This morning we sit there and give the first fruits of our labor back to you, Lord, that you give everything to us. We thank you so much. I ask you to bless this offering and bless the person who is offering, Lord. I ask you to take this and put it in your kingdom upon this earth. I pray this in your precious Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
So when Camille was young, she's not young anymore. She's got a month and she's out. But when she was young, we have this bed that has a high back on it. I used to put her up on top of the headboard, and she would have to curl her head at the ceiling and stand up there. And I lay in bed and I'd say, okay, jump. And she'd do this.
Understand, it was high enough that her back was on the ceiling when she was standing on top of the headboard. That's how I
Us
thought.
from the peanut crowd. Wasn't that bad. But she'd be up on that headboard, and then I'd say jump, and she'd hold on to that ceiling. Just come on, jump. Now, if I told Jesse that, be ready. You know, he was launching. But she has that little intimidation. But then, one time I said jump, and she did. And when she did, she got up and she's like, again! And right back up on the headboard, and here she came again. And we used to play like that. We used to big time wrestle in the bed. You know, I'd get all three kids in there, and boy, we'd go have at it. And I was the crusher. But having to leap and jump and do something. And you ever do that in life? Like you told your kids, you stood in the pool and they were on deck, and you said, "Jump, come on." You know, I got you. You know, what did it take for them to jump? Trust. Faith. Jeff mentioned it in Sunday school this morning. I mean, it takes a relationship. It took a relationship between me and my daughter for her to know that I have it. I've got this. I want you to turn to Genesis. Where was I? Genesis chapter 17. Genesis chapter 17. I want to read this little story with you. Starts at verse 1. Genesis chapter 17, verse 1. It's like this. When Abraham was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will confirm my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham. For I have made a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you are now an alien, I will give you as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be your God. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you must keep my covenant, and your descendants after you for generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. Whether born in your household or bought with money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in flesh will be cut off from his people, and he has broken my covenant. God also said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai, you call her Sarah. I will bless her, and I will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she may be the mother of the nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. What was God doing here?
Making a covenant.
He's making a covenant. He was telling Abraham to what?
Blessing.
Jump. He was telling Abraham, jump. Do you trust me that I can do what I'm telling you I can do? Abraham laughed about it. It says right there, he laughed. Sure, me 100 and Sarah 90? We're going to have a child? Kind of, Margaret, is that possible? Not that you're 90 or 100. But is that possible? It happened. If God showed up to Bob and Winnie's house this week and said, Winnie, Winnie says, I will not jump. Nor will the child in me leap with joy. But it can happen. God was making a promise and a covenant, and he was saying in that covenant, trust me. Now, Abraham, jump. Now, to understand what I mean by jump, I have a video that I want to show you. It's only about 6.5 minutes long, but you'll get the idea of what jump is by what they share with you. So, see if you want to show that real quick.
I'll tell you something every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. Now, I'll tell you why I call it jump. See, God, when he created all of us, he gave every last one of us a gift at birth. He never created a soul without endowing them with a gift. You just got to quit looking at gifts as running, jumping, sing, and dance. It's more than that. It's if you know how to network, if you can connect dots, if you draw, if you teach. Some of y'all fry chicken better than anybody else. Bake pie. Some of you cut hair, color hair. Some people do grass. I got a partner, man. Never wanted to go out with us because we stayed out too late. Come on, man, go out with me. Now I got to get up early tomorrow cutting Miss Johnson's grass. We kept laughing at this dude. Cutting grass. How much they pay you? He got a landscaping company in Cleveland worth $4 million. Because all he do is cut grass. But he was gifted at it. I got a partner on a detail shop, make $800,000 a year. Detailing cars. He got 6 mobile trucks running around. $800,000 a year. All he do is detail cars. That's his gift. That's what he loves to do. You've got to identify that gift. Now listen to me. When you see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life, when you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year and every 2 years. You know, how's he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, this your Bible, says your gift will make room for you. Your gift. Not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education ain't going to take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, that they ain't even using. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soul. If you don't ever use it, you're going to just go to work. And if you get up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump and hit a problem. But just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on the cliffs. You're going to get all your clothes tore off. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. That ain't a theory. That's a promise. His promises is true. Because listen to me. You cannot name one single thing God has not gotten you through. Name it. And if he ain't got you through it, he currently pulling you through it right now. And the living proof of it is you sitting in here. If he hadn't got you through it, you wouldn't even be here. So if he ain't never not got you through it, why would he not let your parachute open? It has to open, man. But you got to jump, though. Now, here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has. See, your God has a wonderful life for you. Once again, I'm going to refer to your Bible. Now, you go down there, you memorize these scriptures, you'll apply them to yourself. Your Bible says that he comes to give you life and give you life more abundantly. If I were you, I would jump. Because that's the only way to get to that abundant life. You got to jump, man. You got to take a chance. Now, when I get through talking, there are those of you who have discussed this in the car. Well, I got bills. And I got bills. Whether you stay on the cliff or you jump, you're going to have bills. Well, if I quit my job, I'm going to ruin my credit. If you got a job, you live in check to check. Even if you got A1 credit, you can't buy nothing else no damn way. At one point in time, man, do yourself a favor. Go see what God really do. God hold you up, man. He ain't going to let you fall. He ain't bring you this far and let you fall. Do yourself a favor, man. Before you leave this world, before you die, jump. Just jump one time. Just jump. Thank you very much. Tell you something.
So, what you saw there was Steve Harvey has an agreement with the Family Feud. I will do your show if between each taping I get to talk to the audience. He says, I want to leave them with more than a game show. I want to leave them with an idea. And you can go on YouTube and he's got all kinds of these speeches on there. But the jump one seems to fit today because I want you to look at your life and I want you to see what's there. See, because in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. God says this to the people, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. God knows the plans He has for you. And in order for you to live in that, in order for you to have that, you have to accept the plan. You have to jump. You have to have enough faith in this person, God, to leave what you know and follow. And sometimes that's not going to be easy. Sometimes that's going to be tough. I mean, sometimes in my life, in order to follow God, I had to leave friends. Leave them behind. It wasn't easy. There were some good friends. I mean, I made some good friends through life, through my childhood, through college, through different things, but they weren't allowing me to live God's plan. So we had to leave. It's sad to say sometimes you have to leave family members. That's not easy to do. When you have a relationship and you love someone and then you have to leave that because you have to go do what you got to do. I mean, our family's kind of tight. Up until recently, I was the only one that didn't live in Northwest Indiana. Sometimes you got to go where God takes you to go. Sometimes it's not easy. I moved to Fort Myers, Florida, and I knew how many people? 0. I remember driving down here in a U-Haul truck with my dad, or talking about it. It's like, he's like, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. Church called, we're going to do this, he's like, I remember staying in a motel outside of Macon and stuff with him, and him asking all these questions. Well, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. I mean, he's trying to figure out, what are you doing? And my answer was, I don't know. Other than God wanted me here. I tell you the story all the time where God, when finally I was getting back in ministry, I was out for a little bit, taking a break, and I said, okay, we're ready to go back, and I had 4 interviews. Jacksonville, Florida, Lake Wales, Florida, Tampa, Florida, Fort Myers, Florida. I just simply said, okay, pretty evident. Okay, God, so I'm going to Florida. Now where? And through the interview process of different places, this is where we ended up. And life has been going since then. Now, I can't stand before you and tell you this, that I cannot tell you that every time I had an opportunity to jump, I jumped. I mean, We started New Hope Christian Church in the year 2000. It's 2017. In those 17 years, I've had 3 opportunities to jump. I had an opportunity to go to a church of about 800 people. They wanted to start me off at $60,000 a year. They wanted to give me a house. They wanted to give me all this kind of stuff. Health insurance, the whole gamut. I mean, they wanted to give me a package worth about $120,000 to be their minister. If it was about the money, I'd have jumped. I'd have jumped. 2 reasons. One, who doesn't want to be financially secure? I could have made enough that Dawn could have stayed home. She wouldn't have had to talk. She could have been the one at home raising the kids. Another reason, I would have been half the distance from here, closer to family at home. But what? But God. God has a plan for you, not to hurt you or harm you, but a plan to take care of you. And I had to see what God wanted. And through the prayers and everything else, we determined that this is what God wanted. This. New Hope. You know, and there might come a day that something comes along and I jump. And what do you do if I jump? How does it affect you in your life if I say, okay, God has now decided to move me somewhere else? How does it affect you? And as I'm putting this together and looking at it, it shouldn't affect you at all. It should have no adverse effect upon you and your life if you're in a what, Jeff? Relationship. With who? Because God has made a promise to take care of you and to prosper you and to show you His plan and allow you to live that plan if you are His. And if you're His, living that plan, it doesn't matter who stands here and speaks to you. It matters if it's the truth. It matters if it's God. And if it's God, maybe by making me jump, it'll cause one of you, 2 of you, 5 of you to jump yourself. Because every time a minister leaves a church, somebody has to jump in and fill in until they find that next person. And maybe it causes you to start living His plan and His purpose. I mean, He used a word in there that a lot of us don't understand because we think it means what He thought it meant. Talent. And I have some people here say, well, I don't have a talent. Right, Jennifer? We had a discussion a couple Wednesdays ago. Well, I don't have a talent. What do you mean you don't have a talent? Who here does not have a talent? Oh, it was you're right. It was Becky that didn't have the talent. Yes. Becky was talentless.
Thank you so much.
We can understand. How many of you here have a talent? 13, 14, 18. You're slowly getting there. I'm trying to explain to you, it's not a talent like, okay, I can preach, or I mean, Leo and Bud and Tom have talent of ministry, of maintenance. So Leo mows the lawn and Tom and Bud make sure the mower's running and this is going on. I mean, that's a ministry. That's a talent. How many of you can open up your car hood and tear the engine apart and fix it and get it running? That's a talent. You know? Do you know how I fix my car? Hey. My car's going. Yeah. Okay.
fix it.
You know what he said? Bring it in. Okay, I'll bring it in. I don't have that talent, that mechanical stuff to go together, so I have to have people around that can. And we surround ourselves with people that can, and people that will. Look at your life. How many of you have spent your life standing on the edge of the cliff? Never jump out. He told you can get by like that. You'll never live. You'll get by. With God, to live takes faith, takes trust, and takes the willingness to jump. Even when it's not comfortable. Even when you don't know what's going to happen. Man, it was a hard decision to leave the comfort of a job and the normal paycheck, come down to Florida, and have no clue where you're going, where you're going to live, or who's going to be there. Now I stand here almost 30 years later after moving to Florida and having in our third ministry here and having the friends and people we know, and you won't trade it for anything. Yes, it's cost me. Yes, I miss out on family birthdays and Christmases and parties and stuff like that. Yes, we miss out on that. But we have birthdays and Christmas and like graduation yesterday with family. With you. And so God's promise to prosper us and take care of us is true. And I stand before you and I firmly believe God has a plan. I believe He has a plan for me.
Amen.
You see, because I believe that He's not done with me yet. Every day I grow. Every day He hones my talents. Every day He has me in the palm of His hand to take me where He needs me. And sometimes it's not really where I want to go. But we can make a difference. We can add into something. I mean, I got up yesterday morning and started running. I did not stop running until after Camille's party. We got to the house at about 8 o'clock. There was only one thing on my mind. Relax. It was on my mind. I got home and ate another hamburger. Those of you who are at the party would understand. Ate another hamburger. And brother and I had a hot dog stuff. And we sat down at the table. My brother Tom was here. My mom was here. And the three of us sat down at the table. And we started playing a game that we call hand and foot. And in the midst of the first hand, my pocket vibrated. And it rang and I said, my words were, "Oh yeah, let's go get a gator." And when I pulled my phone out and looked, I was like, "Oh, let's go get a gator." Wasn't on my mind, wasn't in my... And we drove up to Port Charlotte and we got the alligator out of the lady's backyard and got out and we're standing out front talking to two policemen that were there. And the policeman was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm really bummed. I put in a lottery to get a couple of gators this year and I didn't get picked." I catch gators. You were willing to pay the state about $500 to catch two. You can come with me and catch all you want. And I gave each policeman a card and I said, "Here, just call me and we can go out." Now, I'm going to tell you the honest thing in the back of my mind. That's always in the back of my mind when I do that. I had an opportunity to jump. I can put a police officer in my truck and take him out and let him catch a gator or two with me and experience a day. And it's just like being in a church van with me when you're Clean Start Ministry or something like that. You are a captive audience. And maybe through that day I can cause him to think about jumping. Now, I didn't get into it with him last night. I didn't ask him if he went to church. I didn't ask him if he was a Christian or something like that. But if he calls me and he gets in my truck, you think I will? It's not just fair game, it's the plan.
Open season.
You know, you've got to have the plan. You've got to have the idea of what you're going to do and then go through and do it. Plan to succeed with God. Plan opportunities to share God. Now, if you were in Sunday school, you understand we had this whole conversation about getting a relationship. I mean, I can't just say to that policeman, when he sits on my front seat, I can't just look at him and say, you know Jesus? He's probably going to jump out. But, if I start the truck and start heading down the road where he can't jump out, and I share with him a little bit throughout that day, see, the normal person that rides along with me is going to get me for 6 or 7 hours. You can get a lot of Tracy in 6 or 7 hours. And a lot of Tracy is going to give you a lot of God in 6 or 7 hours. That's the plan. Yes, Gators is the motive. Gators is the thing. That day, Gators would be my shopping cart. Those of you who know me, you know what I do with the shopping cart. You know, and you got to get their attention somehow, right? Bump them. Start talking. If they're in my truck, I don't have to bump. They're already there. And so the plan's there. It's in their hands. They have my card. They have my number. I told them what I could do. Now it's up to them to what? Jump. If they want to do it, they jump. If they jump, they're with me. If they're with me, maybe we can give them food for thought. Plant a seed. Do something that would make them then down the road maybe jump again. But if you don't start somewhere, you'll get nowhere. And he said it. You can stand on that cliff all your life, and that talent God has given you, and that ability, and that plan, the gift, whatever you want to call it, will never happen if you don't jump. It was a leap of faith for Abraham and Sarah at age 90 and 100 to have a kid. I mean, I asked a couple of our older couples here, and all they did was laugh. Laugh or say, no way. You don't know. Do you know what God's plan is for tomorrow? It could be that kind of a plan. We don't know, but we have to be ready for it. We have to be willing to trust Him. In order to trust Him, you have to have a relationship with Him. And if you have a relationship with Him, you're going to love Him because of the way He loves you. And then this will be true. This is where He says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." You are not always going to be where you are today. There's going to be hope of a future. And that goes with everything. It goes with everything in your life. You're not going to be here. God still has a plan. God is still working in you. God will make the difference. I mean, some of you are struggling with family problems. God will make a difference. Some of you are having marital relationship problems. God will make the difference. Some of you have lost loved ones and you're lost in your life. You're figuring out you don't know where you are. God will make the difference. Some of you don't know whether to stay here or move back north. God will make the difference. God has a plan. Follow His plan. But you can't follow that if you don't know it. You can't follow it if you don't have a relationship with Him. You won't have the trust and faith in Him if you're not His. Today you got to look at yourself. Number one, are you His? In your life, in your walk, in everything that you do, are you His? Two, if you're His, what's your talent? What's the gift or ability He gave you that you should be using that maybe you're not? And I don't say that lightly. I say that 18 of you raised your hand and said you had a talent. There's 71 people here today. 18 of you know what your ability and talent is. That means that there's a lot of you that are sitting there going, There's a lot of you that my words are just going right over your head because you're like, I don't know. Yeah, you do. You know what your ability and talent is. I mean, I got Debbie sitting here, and Debbie is very good at teaching little kids. And I don't know if she'd say that's her talent. When she's done and you go over there where Jungle Jim said to go, and look at that room. I mean, I walked in there yesterday, and it's not done, and I was amazed. I was just like, she took things that I would never think of and made snakes out of them. And waterfalls. And all these things. And there's a talent and ability in that, decorating and that. And you like doing that, don't you? Would that be your talent? Yeah. And so how do I use that talent everyday life? How do I use that ability that I have every day in life? And I go to our room and I can point out to a lot of you your different little things. Of how do you use it every day in life? So number one, are you His? And if you are you using the talent and abilities He's given you? Number three, are you living the plan? What's the plan? Go ye therefore into all the world, teaching, preaching, and baptizing. That's the plan. And along the way in doing that, He will prosper you and take care of you and bless you. If you are His, using your abilities to work the plan. His plan is that I give Jesus to everybody. That's why I said, here's my cards. Call me. I have a plan in the back of my mind. It's not about the Gators. It's about an ability to put someone in the seat next to me that I get 6 or 7 hours with. They're not spending 6 or 7 hours with Tracy. They're spending 6 or 7 hours with Jesus living through Tracy. Where they might be able to see Him through me. That's the plan. So if you're here this morning and you're not His, if you've never given your life to Him, and this sounds foreign, I mean, we want to talk to you about that. We want to share with you God's plan of salvation. Or maybe you're here this morning and you've given your life to Christ and you've never really thought about it. Man, truly, really, are you His? Or are you His on Sunday from 10 to 11:30? Are you His? Are you living the life? Are you making a difference in this world for Him? Well, we just started a new book this morning in Sunday school. Great time to get started in Sunday school with us, a new book. I don't know the title of it. I don't have it with me, so Pam's got to hold hers up real quick. And I lost it. Outlive your life. How to outlive your life. how to make a difference in this world that when you're gone, you're still here. And I know people in their life that have done that. I mean, my dad's been gone 20 years, 21 years. Johnny's been gone 11 years. And yet we still talk about it. Why? They made a difference in us. Their life lives beyond their life because of what they did. When people talk about you once you're gone, did you make a difference in this life? Are you living the life with Him and working His plan? If you're sitting here this morning and you've never given your life, or if you're sitting here and you question where you are in life, then this morning God has His arms open wide for you. To take you in for the first time ever, or to renew you where you are. And maybe you need Him to show you your talent. Maybe you need Him to nudge you off your cliff. Not get to jump. There's one thing He didn't say there, that I'll tell you, is when you jump, God jumps with you. And yes, I believe what He said. Sometimes when you jump, you'll hit the rocks and you'll be tattered and torn and snared up because you decided to jump. Maybe you jumped without God. It's got to be in His plan. It's got to be in His will. Talk to Him about it. Pray with Him and make sure He jumps with you. That you're going the direction He wants you to go and doing the things He wants you to do. And I don't regret today turning down those other three churches. No regrets. No turning back. Because I think God has me where He wants me at this point doing the things He needs done to make a difference in this world. And not a difference through me, but a difference through you. And the only way to make a difference through you is to give it to you and get you to understand what God wants from you. Individually. You could be the next person that changes this world for Christ. To make that difference, if you just will. So we're going to stand and sing a hymn of invitation. If you have a decision to make, first time ever, or to renew yourself in Him so that you can be ready for what He has for you, for His plan and His will, as we stand and sing, make the choice. None of this is about us. It's about Him. It's about how we can serve Him and how we can make a difference for Him and His kingdom. So today as we go, let us depart and make a difference for Him. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you so much for the opportunity and the privilege we have of being here. Father, we thank you so much for the songs and the words and how they speak to us. We thank you for your word and how we can read it, and Father, allow it to speak to us and enrich our lives. And Father, we just pray that today we did that. That today we are blessed because we were here. Father, that we are strengthened because we are here, and that we are now ready to be your warriors and to go out and to make a difference in this world for you. Father, strengthen us, watch over us, and guide us this week. Give us someone we can speak to. We pray this in your Son's name. Amen.